642 miles. At this point in my line of work, traveling isn't a new thing for me. I go where I need to get the footage that I need, but never have I needed to do so much for a review, especially for a rifle so simple in nature. The person and the team behind this rifle aimed to claim new milestones, set new standards, and gain some respect from those who object to anything they produce. So it was only fitting that I do my part to represent this bolt action properly, which led to 642 miles traveled. I hope it was all worth it. This is my review. This is the Scharfschützengewehr ZanB by Novritsch. Christoph Neuwirth, also known as Novritsch, who was based in Austria, is widely known in the airsoft community as the most recognized airsoft sniper through the content that he's produced and uploaded to his YouTube channel and to several other social media platforms. Although only beginning YouTube in February of 2012, Christoph would snare the largest airsoft-related YouTube channel rank despite the small crowd of similar sniping channels at the time. With this unexpected success from severe dedication, Christoph would plan out and release the first of many replicas that were built to bank on the popularity of airsoft sniping that was at its peak in the beginning of 2017. This rifle would be dubbed the SSG-10, or Sharpshooter's Rifle Model 24. The SSG-10 would become an instant popular choice with his fans and with fascinated builders of long-range airsoft rifles. Some would try their hand at expanding the rifle's range and consistency, while others would leave their SSGs internally stock. Many other products would release with the Novritsch brand name, including the SSP-1 and the SSX-23. But despite the success of the SSG-10, we wouldn't see another bolt-action rifle announcement until January of 2020. By this time, the Novritsch replica line would be both highly praised and heavily criticized. However, it would be foolish to believe that the majority of the airsoft community wasn't excited to see what Christoph had to show off with a press meet that was attended by some of the largest professional airsofters in the world. This conference would be the proper unveiling party of the newest long-range rifle, the SSG-10. When this package arrived, I didn't know exactly what to expect, besides the rifle of course. I didn't even expect the plastic case that it arrived in, or the damage that was already inflicted on it. The case walls are not the densest I've seen, and with the rifle inside being quite wide, not a lot of stress needs to be applied to crack the case walls against the A2's larger profile bolt handle. The Novritsch team is already aware of the shipping issue, as it's happened to many other people already, and are working out a solution. My suggestions? Thicker case walls will probably help, or styrofoam inserts that surround the case while it ships. Inside the case, that's held together by 4 plastic sliding tabs, you'll see the foam that compresses the contents together. The contents will vary between what you order and where the order is shipping to in the world, but as for my case, I have all the essentials. This includes the SSG-10 A1 M700 plastic stock, a bottle of Novritsch's .46 gram sniper BBs, a pack of trigger assembly parts, an M220 spring that I'm sure wouldn't be allowed in any airsoft sniper in the United States, a black tip to replace what will be an orange tip on the US models, a small manual booklet that will have diagrams to show you all around the controls and features, and then we have the SSG-10 in its A2 configuration. Now there's many things that contributed to this rifle's creation, and then there's many ways to start breaking down this rifle. From its seemingly Jingong Bar 10 base, that's very noticeable by its smooth but rubberized coated surface that bears the Novritsch logo on a rubber butt pad. And then there's the 25-year free replacement parts warranty that no other airsoft manufacturer can match as of recording this review. We begin this, however, by placing the rifle on a scale to see a weight of 6 pounds and 9.8 ounces with the A2 configuration and an empty magazine. In this layout, the rifle also comes in at 42.5 inches with all the stock spacers added, or 41 inches with all the spacers removed, and 42.5 inches with the A1 stock replacing the more customizable stock. The empty clear 29 round VSR-10 magazine bears a 1.3 ounce weight. The A1 stock by itself also comes in at a lightweight 1 pound and 8.7 ounces, while the Maple Leaf A2 stock comes in at 3 pounds and 10.8 ounces. This is with all the accessory parts properly attached to the stock, but if we removed just the rubber covers from the M-LOK slots up front, we would shed 1.8 ounces each. Making our way to the end of the barrel, we first come across a removable aluminum outer barrel cap. On this US model, it should arrive in blaze orange to fall in line with US regulations. However, a proper black tip can be had on the Novritsch website for $9. Removing this tip with the use of a punch to hit this pin inward will expose the end of the 6.01mm precision brass inner barrel that's been coated with an anti-oxidation layer to prevent degradation of the inner surface, and a crown tip of the barrel for optimal airflow as stated by Novritsch himself. You may notice, however, that the inner barrel is surrounded by nothing to hold it tightly into place near the end of the outer barrel, even when the barrel tip is screwed back onto its threads. This can cause a serious issue that can cripple your rifle's accuracy and range, as a fired BB can hit the edge of the barrel tip's opening. The results of this can be seen in BrainExploder's video that I'll leave linked down below in the description. There, you'll see how to fix this problem and how to increase your accuracy even more with some slight handiwork. As for anyone looking to add a suppressor for barrel extensions or to dampen the report of this replica, a thread adapter can be had for another $13. Running down the fluted outer barrel constructed of aluminum, you'd come across a familiar sight if you've ever handled any VSR-10 based rifle: a hop-up adjuster on the left side of the barrel against the stock. This is a fairly simple switch to use, allowing you to choose from 21 points of pressure. The adjustment arm will click as it slides across, making adjustments clear, but I will comment on how frustrating it can be if you're using a gloved hand. Many accomplished airsoft snipers know to use gloves with certain fingers cut open, and this is a reason for that. This rifle would have benefited from a longer adjustment arm or a dog-legged arm that juts out just a bit from the stock. But then that would be another thing that would get caught up on debris or even a ghillie suit that the user might be using to blend in with the environment. The hop-up adjuster is still very effective, and I'll have more to say about it as we move along in this review. As for the rest of the controls found on the individually laser engraved serialized aluminum receiver, the safety, the bolt, and its handle bear most of the use. The bolt handle will be much more traditional and flat on the A1 model as seen here, while the A2 variant is cylindrical and machined with grooves to add grip. The safety remains the same on both variants, however. It's simple, machined with grooves just like the A2's bolt handle to add grip, and it locks the trigger when back just like it should. Clearly, however, I've done something to my safety in a few of the shots that you've seen in this review by now. I've left it just like this until I filmed the breakdown just to show how the safety failed me on the first day that I took it out to a field. I use the safeties on all my replicas and on all my firearms when I'm not using them, so maybe this would happen after a few months of on and off use, but I lost all tension on this safety after just about a dozen shots were taken. This made my rifle almost useless at firing unless I held the safety forward until someone I handed this rifle to so they could test it out at the range fashioned some tape to hold the safety forward at all times. Fixing this is quite easy though. That is if you don't have plans to remove the safety altogether. A mod that's quite popular as to not get in the path of the bolt when being charged. Skipping on, the second most used function that these types of replicas host would be the magazine release. The spring-loaded release button is checkered for texture and will drop the magazine freely when depressed. But yet again, this is where fingerless gloves can be useful to extract magazines easier. An issue that I've seen while testing and using this rifle over the course of this review is the ease of mishaps when inserting the magazine, which will cause misfeeds. A click is what you want to hear to be sure you've inserted the magazine properly. However, this can be near impossible to pick up in a game if your surroundings are not up to a librarian's liking. Anything but a perfectly inserted magazine won't allow BBs to feed into the hop-up chamber properly, leaving you defenseless, especially if the magazine falls out when you're not focused on it. So be sure to give your magazines a slight tug after adding one into an SSG-10. A little insurance isn't a bad thing. There's many ways to combat this and to make magazine changes easier, from 3D printed parts to even string and tape discount mag pools. So be sure to look around on sniper owner pages or on YouTube if you're looking for ideas. Moving on, the transparent 1.3 ounce 29 round magazine is completely made from plastic, apart from the screws that hold it together and the springs inside. This magazine fed every time for me when inserted correctly into the SSG-10. And with this transparency, you can get a rough estimate of your magazine's capacity on the fly by quickly turning the rifle over. But if this magazine isn't to your liking, then you can choose to use any other VSR-10 style magazines with this rifle. I tried 3 different magazines when putting this review together, and they all fed without a problem. But admittingly, some magazines might need a little bit of shaving off on the sides to fit into the rifle. Loading these magazines can be done with a traditional speed loader or even by hand if you don't mind taking your time. But releasing the magazine on a closed bolt will waste 1 BB. Doing so with an open bolt will waste 2. You can also clear the rifle with the BB in the chamber by zeroing out your hop up to relieve some stress and then pulling the bolt back again. The loaded BB should just roll out of the barrel after doing that, but of course remove the magazine first or you'll double load the rifle. Apart from the Picatinny rail segments on top of the receiver, the front of which being a little under 1 3/4 inches and the rear segment being a little over 1 3/4 inches, you then have just the trigger assembly to talk about. The plastic 0.5 ounce trigger guard that I was surprised wasn't aluminum like everything else might be more angular on the A2 compared to the A1's curved guard, but the trigger itself and the trigger assembly remains the same. It's constructed of 100% cut hardened steel and aircraft grade aluminum and 2 stainless steel pins to hold the trigger and sear in place. This trigger box was created with a European company called Bull Trigger and was said to be unbreakable with normal use by the Novritsch team during testing. I for one had no problems with my trigger, nor did anyone else that I let try my SSG. I was actually told multiple times just how light it was. Now if only I had a trigger gauge, because then I could really show you how smooth and light it really is. While the A1 stock remains mostly the same as the stock you'd find on a JG Bar 10 with no modularity, it's still a smooth and lightweight option you could just take on and off with just a few screws. This is in comparison to the A2's vast array of options available. With 4 QD sling points, a sling swivel, a height adjustable and pivoting cheek rest, an adjustable length rubber butt pad, and a couple hidden attachment points, this M40 style stock is pretty nice. Slide off this plastic cap and you'll expose a 2 2/8 inch rail segment. Peel these rubber covers off and you can use 8 M-lock slots for whatever accessories fit your playstyle. Removing 3 Allen screws, I can now remove the A2 stock and fix my safety that simply had the screw holding it into the trigger box back out. That's an easy fix, but I did notice this wear on the top of the safety. This is due to the bolt rubbing against its surface as I'm using it, which explains why a lot of snipers remove their safeties altogether. With the A1 trigger guard, swapping between these 2 stocks is a 2-minute affair. You'll need the A1 trigger guard as the A2 guard is too thick to fit through the A1 stock. Taking a Phillips head screwdriver to the trigger box to remove it from the receiver and then opening it up by removing 4 Allen screws and a safety screw, you'll see the 4 parts that make everything work in here. 2 springs will give you some hurdles to watch out for when putting it all back together, but it's not too bad, and I didn't see much wear or too much grease inside. Taking this cylinder out of the receiver, unscrewing the barrel assembly, and then taking down the rest of the rifle is quite easy. The inside of the receiver was clean and free of any wear, and the outside of the steel cylinder was still pretty clean as well. Taken down into its 5 parts, the SSG-10 can be pretty compact if you're low on baggage space. For anyone looking to replace any parts, build up or maintain this rifle, you shouldn't have any problems. This is a really simple platform to work on, and there's dozens of videos, hundreds of videos to pick from to guide you along if need be. Next, I'm going to unscrew the cylinder head from the steel cylinder and take out the head, piston, mainspring, and steel spring guide. The piston shaft is made of CNC aluminum and is centered with 2 plastic glide rings. It's also air brake ready to bring down the noise of each shot. The 13mm one-piece steel spring guide will then back all the power up even if you decide to throw in the M220 spring. But what about the claims that the cylinder head, and the bolt handle are not compatible with VSR-10? This was first advertised as a 100% VSR-10 compatible rifle, but with 2 of those parts not compatible, this would make a WASP upgrade impossible. So I asked Novritsch myself. I tested a couple pistons inside the SSG-10. It was quite a while ago, but I remember that the Edgy was fitting and the Marui stock, and the VFC ASG tuning one. Of course, we didn't test all aftermarket pistons as it would probably be more than 100 different ones. We can't control the tolerance of other brand manufacturers. The last bits of information that I can really share is that the cylinder weight is 9.7 ounces with just a bolt handle attached. Then the cylinder's internals make up 5.2 ounces for a total complete cylinder weight of 15 ounces. The aluminum receiver weighs 5.8 ounces, the empty outer barrel weighs 8.8 ounces, and the trigger box will weigh 4.9 ounces. Taking my SSG-10 A2, an A1, and an SSG-24 to the chronograph with a bottle of 0.2 gram BBs, I got 530 feet per second with the SSG-24, 470 feet per second with an SSG-10 A1, and 530 feet per second with my A2. All three of these rifles were stock and had several hundred BBs put through them with no replacement parts. Of course though, no one should be using 0.2 gram BBs with rifles like these. So let's see what my A2 chrono's at with 0.30 grams, 0.40 grams, and 0.45 gram BBs. I can't speak for the owners of the SSG-24 or for the SSG-10A1, but as for my rifle, I believe I have an M160 spring inside that gave me these readings that you see. Other springs can be had when you order this rifle, including an M90, an M150, an M160, and of course the M220. And just to complete a full chronograph session, here's my SSG-10 A2 with an M220 spring and 0.40 gram BBs. Heading over to Mission Airsoft and grabbing a 12 ounce tin can, 75 foot hits with 0.45 gram BBs were easy enough with the wrong style of sight. As of doing these tests, the rifle had over 1,000 rounds put through the same hop-up to get some accurate measurements that we should expect of a broken-in rifle. And again, the trigger is also very short, which will aid slightly in accuracy. With more available and affordable .32 gram BBs, these shots were a little bit more difficult, but still doable back-to-back with no wind affecting these shots. Reloading the magazine with .45 gram BBs and putting a 200 foot gap between myself and my friend Florida here, who volunteered to be shot by my SSG-10, these shots weren't a challenge. With an actual scope, no one should be complaining about the accuracy of this rifle. 300 foot shots may take a little while to reach their target, but these shots are also doable, but use heavier weight BBs like .45s, or anything else over .40. At 350 feet, however, you'll start to see the limits of your accuracy, or at least with my rifle. The BBs might still have enough power to lodge themselves into cactuses like they did during this test, but this power is meaningless if you can't repeatedly put it to use on a target. I would have gotten these tests on much more visible black boards at D14 Airsoft in Sanger, Texas, but my plans were dismissed by the intense wind. I was still able to land 2 back-to-back 300 foot shots, but it was more like luck than skill due to the weather. So with range, accuracy, and power consistency, and a lovely air seal that I can test by plugging the barrel with my finger and firing the rifle when it's completely empty, I like to lastly test the volumes that this rifle can belt. The first test consisted of some dry fire shots, and these measured at negative 8.14 decibels. These shots should be a little louder than if the rifle was actually loaded with a BB. So if we actually shoot the rifle when it's loaded, we'll see negative 8.38 decibels. Then finally, let's rack the bolt slowly and quickly. A slow bolt pull with pressure on the back of the bolt face is clearly the way to go for stealth. My close friend Jaime saw a peak of negative 10.4 decibels with a slow bolt pull, and then with a faster bolt pull, we averaged at negative 8.80 decibels. And for anyone wondering, these recordings were made on an ZanB dynamic microphone. And with these measurements, I believe that we've now covered stealth. Any longtime airsoft sniper will tell you that going with a bolt action rifle and planning to play the sniper role is not the way to go as a beginner, and I follow the same guidelines. It's something many airsofters understand after they watch how frustrated beginners get even when they're playing alongside team members with M4s and AKs in their hands. Playing with the assumption that you'll perform like a veteran airsofter with a bolt action rifle that takes patience, precision, and at least some amount of experience will amplify this frustration. However, where the SSG-10 fulfills a purpose is with the player looking to get long-range performance immediately after a purchase. This interests players that want to unbox, load, and have performance right away. This doesn't mean that a first-time player will win the game by themselves or even get a single hit just because they have an SSG-10, an SSG-24, or any other bolt-action rifle. But despite any optimism you may have for your own building skills, recreating the same performance that the SSG or even outdoing them for less than $300 is what's being claimed but not shown thus far. Novritsch and his team offer a 25-year free parts replacement warranty that no other manufacturer can challenge. They offer internal parts, external accessories, breakdown and maintenance videos, and reliable customer support that I really do respect. And that's a lot more than I can say about a lot of other airsoft manufacturers that I can think of. And if we realistically look at this, that's a major problem for them, and something that might advance the airsoft marketplace so as to compete. In the midst of what longtime players have seen and experienced, anyone looking past who this man is and what content he produces for his YouTube channel and other social medias would see a brand that isn't perfect, but does so much more than many other companies want to do to fix their own problems. When magazines didn't feed, you got a company that takes the blame and admitted that something was wrong and that something needed to be done, before they offered ways to make up for it and made changes to make sure that issue never came up again. This is something that not many other manufacturers will offer you. However, it's what many detractors of the Novritsch brand seems to enjoy more. It's no secret that as a community, we seem to tear down so much that we try to build up. Follow this logic if you can. Everyone can hate on everyone else and everything else since everyone knows better than everyone else. It's a confusing vicious circle that we act like doesn't exist, but it's something that many people who quit or retire from the game of airsoft express hindered their positive experiences with the game. If you want to hear about this more, then please watch this video. It's something that I think a lot of people who dislike this review strictly because the gun is connected to Novritsch should really hear, even if they don't take anything else that I say with any merit. For me, it all comes down to performance, parts accessibility, and ease of use. This rifle can perform to the point that people don't say they have a stock rifle that performs better, but that they can build something better themselves. The bolt is smooth and easy to pull. The trigger is wonderful. I like that the magazines are clear. I prefer the A1 stock, but no one told me anything negative about the A2 stock, and the performance is stellar. This rifle is something that people say they can outdo for less, but don't take the time to lay out how that's true. Like I've said, it's not perfect, just like how everything else in airsoft and everything else in the world is, but this is something manufacturers need to take notes on. Some of these companies really need to have the guts to admit to their faults, double down on what they wanted to achieve when they started, offer something that no one else will ever want to compete with, and allow anyone to speak out on the pros and cons that they find with their products. And who would have known that we would have to wait for someone like a lone Austrian sniper who built a bow out of skis as a child to put all this together under the name Novritsch. I hope you enjoyed this review of the Novritsch SSG-10. These reviews take quite a while to put together, especially when a rifle is built with long range, accuracy, and stealth in mind. So if you did enjoy it, then why not give this review a like? I would like to thank Novritsch and his team for sending me this package and for working with me to make this review and my giveaway happen. Over 5,400 people entered to win this whole package, and the winner is gonna love it. And with this review done now, I can send it out to him. But links to the two videos that I mentioned earlier and to Novritsch's website where you can find this rifle will be in the description, as well as a bunch of other information. I'd also like to thank these past channel donators and the members of the channel that help these videos happen. Members get exclusive updates on videos, polls, and insights that no one else can get access to, all by joining up. The button to do so can be found right on the channel homepage, so go check it out if you really enjoy my work. However, with all that read and said now, I'll leave you all with one more thank you for watching, but until that next video drops from the city of San Antonio, this has been Scott Hollenbeck, and I will be sure to see you all next time.
Got it.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that pull?
See, that feels awesome because look, so if I take mine, It's not a, it's definitely, mine's a little more, like it's similar, but I couldn't do one finger.